Hey there, welcome to Video Game Club Podcast, where me and my brother Tim play a game every week, then chat about what we like and what we don't like about it. This week's game is called GRIME. It's a gritty, difficult side-scroller with a unique plot. Thanks for tuning in, and without further ado, the podcast. So if you had to describe this game in a couple of sentences or less, how would you describe it?
Well, first off, it felt like I was playing a Dark Souls game, but like 2D.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's that. But also, but I like Hollow Knight, but also Hollow Knight was kind of Dark Souls-y, or Souls-like, I guess is what it would be called.
Like, what I have written down is, if Dark Souls and Hollow Knight had a baby and its uncle was Dead Cells.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what GRIME is.
Yeah.
My exact words are the movement and difficulty of Dark Souls with the Metroidvania and storytelling prowess of Hollow Knight.
Of Hollow Knight, yeah.
Because honestly, the movement is way more similar to something like Dark Souls than it is to Hollow Knight.
It's not as precise as Hollow Knight.
Oh yeah, Hollow Knight is it's slippery, precise, buttery, just
well, no, because Hollow
movement.
Knight's not slippery though.
Okay, maybe not slippery, but it's
definitely very precise.
Yeah, I mean slippery by I guess not slippery when you land, but you can move between different actions extremely.
Oh yeah.
Fluidic, I guess.
Yeah, that would be the better term instead of slippery.
Yeah.
But GRIME is not like that at all.
No.
GRIME is very you almost can't interrupt your own
you
action.
Can to some extent.
You can.
The only thing that you can really interrupt things with is the block or absorb. There are things.
Yeah. I meant
really...
your own actions.
No, I know. I mean, you can technically
you try to dash while you're attacking. I think you could, couldn't you?
I think it was if you're most of the way through the animation, 90% of the way through the animation, you could. And at the beginning, 10% you can. But after that, you're pretty much committed.
No.
Between those two marks.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I don't know if you ever tried it, but you could block almost anywhere in an attack in an animation.
Yeah.
You could pretty much put up your little absorb anytime, which was nice because, I was playing with slow, heavy, high damage weapons, and you commit to quite a lot by pressing the attack button.
Yeah, and then midway through your attack, you can just press the absorb button, and it would cancel your attack fully.
Yeah, it's nice.
So yeah, that was nice. I guess that's how they would get around the I guess the literal two directions you could dodge.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of has to, right? Because if you compare it to Dark Souls, I don't know if you've never played any of the Dark Souls.
No, I haven't.
But
that also is the in Dark Souls, I think you can get a shield, and basically the absorb was basically your shield.
Well, the Dark Souls block is much more you can do it, but it requires certain stat investment, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this is a core part of the game.
It is literally it's the main function of the game.
Yeah. So, you're literally a black hole sucking things in and absorbing them into your mass. That's they built the game around blocking. So, it makes sense that you should be able to do it anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so things that I liked. For a game built in Unity, which gets a pretty bad rap.
Yeah.
It looked gorgeous. The art style was amazing.
It was very well done.
I have written down here, what struck me as interesting is everyone in the game is a monster except you, but even you aren't human. You're just humanoid shaped.
Yeah.
And
well, until you get to the like city.
Yeah, the city,
or even just the servant's path.
Well, yeah, but
They're
as you can
all sort of
see,
humanoid shaped.
as you can see in the servant's path, these are people. These are like beings that are like mocking themselves up to imitate you, right? And so because of that, it's not necessarily accurate. It's just it's like a cruel mockery
like
of your shape.
Crude,
yeah,
crude mockery or imitation.
Yeah, imitation. And so like it's all very like, I won't say an uncanny valley, but it's all very strange when you compare it to something like, obviously, Dark Souls. Everybody is basically humanoid. Even the monsters that are big and like ogre-y.
They're just big humanoids.
Yeah, and then a lot of enemies are like man with sword.
Yeah.
And so having everything you meet basically be a monster is like kind of refreshing in a way.
Yeah.
Like I guess in Hollow Knight, you are also kind of a monster, but at the same time, like everybody's kind of a similar.
They're similar bugs.
Yeah, similar like shape.
They're all kind
I don't
of
know.
like some kind of bug, but a little more humanoid than most of the other ones. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought that the art style was really good.
The art style is very good. There was a few times where I just I was no longer, like, as I was walking around, I wasn't really looking at my character. I was looking at the background.
Yeah. I think that was a lot of the time on purpose, because they definitely had they took advantage of the 2D and gave you a lot of like viewscapes and a lot of interesting things to look out in the background because they wanted you to look there.
Especially at the stairway after the final performance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just the like what happens after the final boss, like
yeah, that too.
Goodness. Yeah.
Good stuff.
What about you? Do you have anything specifically that you want to point to that you liked?
Well, there were a few bosses that were pretty fun.
Right.
First off, the desert guy, he was, once you got the hang of him, he was enjoyable.
Oh, the like mini boss right above the guy with the two swords.
Right,
oh yeah.
You fight him, another one of him, like him
much later. Yeah, I think he's in the palace, I believe.
Yeah, in the palace.
Yeah, I found him and I was like, I had no health, or I had like very little health, and I had no way to heal myself.
Yeah, same.
And so I was like, oh no.
I like walked up to him and I'm like, are you gonna fight me? And then I was able to walk past and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh no, I fought him. I won, but it was a struggle. Like, I
walked past him. I'm like, I'll fight you later in a bit once I find a surrogate. And then I did, and I went back and killed him. But then he was just like a normal enemy, just had normal health.
Well, I mean, he had the same health as the last thing. He just had more sections that were absorbable. So you could like basically crush him by just blocking everything, and it was very easy compared to the first time where like I think it was like 1 or 2 sections were absorbable. So one thing I did want to talk about was the atmosphere was like, it was like, I want to say it was almost like a horror game, because
almost.
Like when I was playing Dark Souls 2, I had this sort of same sense of maybe not dread. In that game, it was less dread and more like annoyance of the fact that healing was so far and few, but like you had your items that healed you. And there were health stones and stuff like that, but like the time between what are they in that game? Bonfires? The time between bonfires to refresh all your healing and your health were so long that if you progress into an area that you don't know what's around the corner and it just kills you, you lose all that progress. You get that same sense.
It was the same feeling.
Yes.
In GRIME.
It wasn't so much of an annoyance as in Dark Souls, because in GRIME you don't lose all of your
you kind of just lose
currency.
You lose your like just walking progress.
Right. Well, you lose your ardor, which I didn't like.
Didn't really have any problems.
I was gonna say I don't think I looked up there a single time since the beginning of the game.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the ardor is like you get more mass when you kill things, and it's just like if you have more ardor, you get more mass, and it's like, well,
okay.
I constantly have 0 ardor, so it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much that I like constantly had 0 ardor. It was that like because it was a thing that disappeared when I died, I didn't really keep track of it. So
yeah, exactly. There was a skill you could get that like returns all ardor whenever you get your like shell or whatever.
Right. Which, and then there was another one I think that was if you have a certain amount of ardor, you do a certain amount more damage. And I'm just like, well,
yeah, I didn't get that either.
If I'm sitting at this boss with 0 ardor,
it's not gonna matter.
Why do I care about this?
There was a third one I think that was like gain 1 ardor from all sources, 1 more ardor from all sources.
Yeah, I mean that's nice.
Like,
but it wasn't something I really gave any attention to. So
didn't really seem like it affected anything very much.
But the thing was like, so because this is a game that's taking place like mostly underground except for like 2 levels, you're really like you're stuck in a hole. Okay, so the atmosphere is really like you're going through tunnels. It's very compact. You don't have a lot of room to move because it's 2D, and your dash is like a short range teleport. You're very like everything's claustrophobic, right?
Yeah.
So every time, I don't know if you felt this, but every time I walked into a big room, like when I was in an underground level, every time I like went into a big room, I went, oh God, what's here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh no, is this a boss or is this a mini boss? What am I gonna have to fight?
Gonna be like filled with enemies or
which
there was a bunch of rooms that were actually just filled with a bunch of enemies.
Pretty much.
You just had to kill a bunch of them.
And
but yeah, that was a few times.
This game also has the added benefit of it's really only designed to be like 1-on-1s, maybe 1-on-2s, and if the enemies were small or blockable. And so if you pop into a room and there are like 3 or 4 enemies, you like immediately crap yourself.
Yeah, I felt that like for sure. Like if there was more than 2 or 3 enemies, it's just like, no, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna find another way.
I'm just gonna dash through you guys and peace out.
Yeah. Anything else in what you absolutely loved about the game? If not, no problem. We can move on to
I don't think
the next topic.
Yeah, I have anything else. I can talk about a few things that I disliked about the game.
Well, go for it. That's the next
Number 1,
section.
fall damage.
Fall damage, okay.
Literally, why? Why would you put fall damage in a 2D platforming game?
So I
guess.
Go ahead.
I guess it did like they had to, because a lot of the platforming was I guess built around it. not built around it, but like
I would say I would even go farther than that. I would say that a lot of the game was built around that.
a
Right?
lot of the game was built around like yeah.
So, the part that stuck out to me the most in this fall damagey regard was there was a section, I don't know if you went there, but there was a section directly below the palace, where if you send the elevator up and then jump below the elevator, there was a whole section below that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had no fall damage, that whole section wouldn't work.
Yeah,
right?
you wouldn't have to go down there slowly.
The whole area was like you have to progress precisely, but like with purpose.
Yeah,
and without falling. And if you fell, you took damage
and you
got teleported back to the beginning. Yeah, and so like if you look at the game from this point of view of like this is built as both a guiding device and a safety net. Well, and a safety net, really. I mean, I guess it is a hindrance, but like
it is sometimes a hindrance.
It's definitely more of a like, please stay within these bounds and stop like jumping off the earth. That's what I would say that's what it was built around.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair, but like in the beginning there, it was a little annoying to have fall damage when you fell like
just a little bit too far.
A little bit too far, and you just take fall damage, and you go back up to the top, and you're like, oh, man,
yeah,
gotta go find a real way down just to go down these few like platforms. Come on.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't disagree with you there, because it's definitely weird coming to a Metroidvania from like pretty much any side scroller, not even necessarily Metroidvanias, but like even something like Mario, where like you pretty much know you're jumping off that cliff, you know, like, and you're hitting the ground safely. Whereas this game is like, okay, so I got to look down to see if I'm gonna land somewhere safe. You know, it makes you slow down, look at things instead of just barreling through, because the ground will catch you.
Because in this game you do have to go slow, or you will get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it is. If you didn't like stop and fight the enemies properly, you'll get your butt handed to you.
Yeah, which honestly I see as more of a it's less of a, it's actually probably a good thing. Like, I know that a lot of people don't like their hand being held in games like this, or any game, but it kind of pillows the difficulty without being too intrusive of like, hey, here's how you kill this guy. Points directly at weak point spot. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there were weak points on a lot of enemies that you didn't notice until you hit them. And I think that was good. But like, hey, we're going to make this a little bit less difficult on you by making you slow down, take a breath, make sure you look at everything before you get through. Otherwise, you're going to jump down and an enemy's going to jump up and destroy you, you know? I think that's okay, but it definitely didn't feel good to be restrained. I will agree with you. One thing that I don't... Okay, so this is going to be definitely a personal pet peeve, and I know you probably feel differently about this, but maps weren't automatically filled out. I know that this is a Metroidvania thing. I know that this is something that like you can look at as a direct comparison to Hollow Knight, but I didn't like it in this game. Okay.
Yeah, I get that, but I was fine with it in Hollow Knight because usually, most of the time, the maps were like given to you right at the beginning of the area,
right?
Like where you're quote unquote meant to like go into the area from. They give you the map like that, like close to the beginning. Right. Whereas in Grime, it was like Oh, you have to stumble blindly for 20 minutes through this area to find the map.
Right. Well, not only that, right? But
And then what you're probably gonna say is one of them being attached to a boss.
well, actually, no, I wasn't gonna say that. That was annoying.
Yeah.
But no, the thing that I was going to say was it was something that was extra difficult for me because especially in the underground levels, everything looks the same, right?
Yeah.
If you're
yeah.
in a particular
True.
area, most everything looks the same. And because of that, and you don't have a map to see where you are, I mean, you got like little marks on your quote map that isn't filled out.
It's like a path.
That have shown you where you've been. So like technically you can look at that and know where you've been, but it's not the same. It's not the same as like an actual filled out map.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the like beacons were hidden in places.
Yeah.
There were like quite a few that were
they weren't on the main path.
Yeah.
Where you're like the main path that you're forced to go because again, fall damage.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. That was a bit annoying for me, and like I said, this could definitely just be a me thing. But
yeah, it was a little annoying.
It was a little bit annoying to me. The other thing was armor. It was kind of a non-thing in this game. I don't know if that was intended or if this was me just playing the game wrong, which could very well be. I do that a lot.
The armors they give like stats, but like pretty much once I got the one that gave me the dexterity, that was the one I wore the whole game.
Yeah. It was really easy.
Like I think there was a better dex armor I could have gotten, but
honestly,
I didn't get the full set, so I didn't wear it.
There was a dex one that you could get at the very end that was like it gave like only dex and it was like 30% or something like that, which was like an insane number. But like to me, I used 2 sets the whole game, literally the entire game. One was the stone armor that gave you a level up in the boulder head or whatever it was, but basically it was like, here's 20% health and a buff to a skill that gives you even more health, right? So it was just this giant buffer of health. Here you go. Enjoy not dying for a little bit longer. And then the other set of armor I used was the golden armor, which I bought from
more money,
which gives you more mass.
Piece of that, and then I forgot to go back for the rest when I got money.
I literally bought all 3 pieces because you showed me where that vendor was, and then I just put it on and never took it off. I fought multiple bosses with it on, and it has like bottom of the barrel non-stats basically. And so I just basically like roughed it out through a lot of these bosses. I think the only boss after that I remembered to change armor on was the last boss, and that was it. That was the whole thing. So
but yeah, I got the one that you get like really early, that gave you like I think force and dex.
Yeah.
But you get it like
the one I only got
the second armor set you get.
I think that was the only I got like 2 pieces of it because I just didn't find the third one.
Oh yeah, I found the third. I think it was one that you get in Lithic.
Yeah.
I found all 3 pieces and never took it off.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of another peeve, was like you don't really find a lot of armor. I could find weapons really easily. Like,
oh yeah, the weapons were
they were just thrown everywhere, but armor was like
literally,
it was nowhere to be found.
Armor, you had to actually go find secrets and stuff.
Yeah, and because of that, I just didn't care. Yeah. The armor that I had did just fine. It didn't make me want to go find other pieces of armor. You know what I mean? It was like, after I
found this. It's a piece of armor. Great, cool. I'll not use.
I'll put that away forever. There were after I looked. Go ahead.
There actually was one piece of armor that I didn't even know I picked up.
Okay.
Like I had the arms of one of these a random like armor set, and I didn't know where I got it. I didn't even know I picked it up.
I think I found a piece of armor, one piece of the that boosted the skill that like increases the amount of time your absorbs things. That gives you a higher buffer for that. And I really wanted it because it gave like health and focus, or health and force. And I was like, oh, those are pretty decent defensive stats, so it'd be a great boss killing, thing. Never found any more pieces of it. I found one.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever, dude, it's fine.
The main thing that I played around with the playstyle I used was the Bloodhound skill.
Oh yeah.
Or the like whatever that skill was, where it's like when your like after image when you dash, if that gets hit,
you get more focus.
Force back.
Oh yeah, more force
stamina, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I basically, and because the armor I had boosted that, so it was like it helped a lot for force regen.
Yeah. Well,
or force like recovery.
I had
during fights.
My build was basically anytime you block, whether it is to absorb or just stagger them,
to parry, I guess.
It returned me like 25% of my force bar.
Yeah.
Which was insane for my build because my weapons took up like a bajillion
lot
force.
Of force. Yeah, because they're big and heavy.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the armor could have been handled a little bit differently. If there was more, the only place that I was really finding myself wanting to go look around for it, if they had done this for every area, it would have been so much like better handled, was the art dealer.
Oh yeah.
Like the art dealer made me want to go find pieces of art to trade him for items.
Mm-hmm.
If they had done something like that, where it was like, hey, go find this item that you can't use, but you can give to somebody for
it's like you find item. You find the art dealer and it's like, oh, okay. If you happen to find these, I'll take them off your hands and give you this.
Exactly.
And it'd be like, oh, if you found these items later, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I can take this to the guy.
Right, exactly.
Later, and be like, oh, yeah, I'll keep this and I'll take this to the guy in a bit.
Yeah, it would have been.
Do that.
Oh, that would have been such a better way to handle pretty much every area. But like, I didn't want to explore areas more. I just wanted to keep going and see new places.
Yeah.
And yeah, so. Was there anything
another
else you
thing
didn't
for me,
like?
Well, probably the like bigger weapons, I guess the slower weapons, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the weapons had like attack speeds.
Right.
And for me it was like I really couldn't use any of the slower weapons because every time I tried it, like all the enemies would just hit me in the middle of my first like initial attack against them.
Yeah.
Because like I would just like show up and we would see each other and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna attack you, but they're just gonna hit me faster.
I think I really only ran across this because I was using those weapons.
Yeah, you were using those slow.
The only time I really ran across it where it was so oppressive, the amount of hits the enemies would take and interrupt you, was literally whatever the electric place was, Nerve Root.
Oh, Nerve Root.
There were these enemies that just would not stop hitting you.
Yeah.
Unless you like blocked them or killed them or hit them back. And I had to just
creeps.
I had to just switch to something faster for them. Just because
unless I was just using those weapons wrong, because like I guess as we already talked about, the game wants you to like
slow down
and kind of meticulous with the fights.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I probably shouldn't have been the one to attack first. I probably should jump in there. The enemies would try to attack me. I would either absorb them or like dodge and then hit them with the slower weapon.
Okay, so like for the vast majority of the game, I did not have enough force to do that. Okay, so if I jumped in there and I dodged out of the way and of their attack and then try to hit them, I'd be out of force completely, out of stamina completely, and I could not get away from them after they recover.
And then you wouldn't be able to dash again to hit.
Right, and so you could block some of their attacks, but what do you do against enemies that do red attacks? Nothing. You can't. You just die if you do that.
You can't absorb those.
So literally what you have to do is you just like swing like 2 seconds earlier than you'd ever swing in your life for any other normally paced weapon.
Yeah.
You just swing and they walk into it every single time. And then they die, and that's it. Because you deal so much damage that like either they stagger and you can hit them again, or you can like back up and reset, or you know, you just kill them. It got to the point on bosses where I was dodging things so tightly that I could use my special ability on the pillar, which is an even slower, bigger attack.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely possible to do that pretty much everywhere in the game.
Yeah.
It's just it requires a lot of patience.
I couldn't get the hang of it.
And that's fine.
I went right for the daggers, which do considerably less damage,
but give you a lot more mobility. But for sure.
You get a lot more mobility.
Well, like even okay, so I found a weapon at the end of the game that was it required 26 strength to use. And I was like, whoa, I want to use this. And so I finally got 26 strength.
I know the one you're talking about. I think it was...
It's like the hook. Yeah, something like that.
Kind of thing.
I picked it up and I started to use it. It's like special ability is... It gives you like 50% more damage for a short period of time, which is basically an item use, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh... That's cool. I'm going to get so much use out of that. Turns out, I never used it in boss fights. Because every time where I would have enough time, like, what is it called? The shapely, whatever it was, the big hand, the golden hand woman.
Oh, yeah, the shapely...
There were tons of times when you could just wail on her. Just wail. And, like, every time I would get to that point, I would never have the buff. And if I buffed up, no more time to wail.
Yeah.
And so I switched back to the pillar, and every time it would be enough time to wail on her, I would just use my special ability, and it would deal like 300 damage. Yeah, I would do like 300 damage, and it would be like, oh, this is so much more than if I just use the hooks and just hit her. You know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not going to use this anymore. Sorry, game.
When I was going back to when I was fighting the Desert Watcher, you'll probably see this in the footage if you want to watch it. The bow swords, the special attack is like when you swing and do damage with them, you rack up like daggers that you can shoot. And literally the final blow I got on the Desert Watcher was from one of those as he was dashing towards me.
Nice.
To kill me. And I was like low on health too.
You're like, please die. Please die, please die.
It was like I was charging up the bow daggers and I couldn't stop charging up either.
Oh yeah, that was definitely something you couldn't stop because I used them for a brief period, but
you could not stop charging up, and I'm like, oh geez, I hope this is enough damage. And it was. He had like no health, and I also had no health.
Yeah.
In the middle of dashing towards me.
Yeah, that was my fast weapon of choice, to be honest.
Yeah, the bow swords. And then I got the bow daggers later. Unfortunately, the bow daggers didn't have the charge up dagger. What the special ability of that was still the daggers. If you clicked once, you'd shoot one. But if you held it down, it would shoot all of your charges.
Oh.
Like all at once as like a rapid fire.
And that was your main weapon.
Instead of the like super powered one, which was unfortunate because I kind of liked the super powered one, but
yeah,
the daggers were
much more usable, probably because they were faster.
The dex, they scaled more with dex.
Yeah,
scaled better with dex.
I guess we can talk about the weapons. I don't really have a spot for that, but the next spot we already talked about it. There's a huge amount of weapons in this game. Like,
yeah,
not only a huge amount of weapons, but there were weapons that scaled off of every stat.
Every stat, yeah.
So, like in this game, there's like health, there's force, which is stamina.
Force stamina, yeah.
And then there's strength, which is strength. And then there's dexterity, which is dexterity. And then there's resonance. Which is basically like if you're a Souls player, it's like your magic ability. That's not even. There's no magic in. It's like a faith or something like that. I honestly played Dark Souls 2 for so little time, and I put that out of my brain because it's such a bad game.
Careful now.
Oh no, it's. I'm not going to get into too many fights about that opinion. Honestly, promise.
Actually, that's true. I think a lot of people consider that one the worst game.
I mean, it's gone up and down. Like when it came out, people were in love with it, and then everyone's wait, and then the third game came out, and they're like, oh, but it could have been this. Oh, it's not that good. And then people wanted to hate on it again, and then they were like, oh wait, no, but it's actually good again because look at how it's fun. Look at all the things that they took out that were great, and then like people have gone back to hating it again. So it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. This isn't about Dark Souls 2. This is about GRIME.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I really kind of want to play the game through again with just resonance.
Because some of the lanterns.
Yeah.
I tried the first one a little bit. I don't remember if I actually did kill moms with the lantern. I don't remember.
I almost
It'll be on the video, but
I almost did. So because I was like, I'm gonna use these quick lanterns and then I'm gonna stack it up all the way up and then explode her, and it literally took 2 full explosions to kill her. That was it. And that was her first phase.
I think I just used the bow swords.
But
because then she was like incredibly easy on the second phase.
Well, like that was the most RNG fight in the entire game.
Well, that and also like once you realize that you can absorb the floaty rocks that she throws at you.
Oh yeah.
Of them, it did like 200 damage to her each.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Each time. So it was like, okay, well, that's how you do it.
Yeah, but I like just there were like 4 lanterns, I want to say, in the game, and they're all like unique. And so like you can use them for each thing, and I can just see the numbers getting obscenely high because they all scaled off of
resonance.
The resonance, yeah.
It was percentage too, so it was.
There were a few.
I didn't even
weapons.
Use the second one.
No, I didn't either. I only used the first one because I was like, oh, this is neat.
Yeah.
There were a few regular weapons that scaled like D or C off of resonance, as well as like strength or dexterity.
Yeah. I got a few of those.
I think I don't know what it was called, but it was basically a drill bit.
Oh yeah, I didn't buy that from the shop.
That scaled off of dexterity and resonance, and I was like, oh, that's neat. Maybe I'll try that next time I play or something like that. I don't know. But there was even a couple of weapons I found that scaled off of health, and I was like, what? You telling me that I could go full health and find a weapon that'll deal extra damage because I'm a tanky boy? That's crazy.
Yep.
And so like there are so many different ways to build your character, much like a Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
But like it seemed like there was a space for anything. Pretty much. Yeah.
As long as you found the weapon first off.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but as we said already, that
wasn't
kind of
exactly
just hand them to you.
Yeah.
Wasn't exactly hard.
Yeah, they were just like
kind of just hand them out.
Way. The only place that we didn't go that had a bunch of weapons, actually, I think both places that we didn't go that had a bunch of weapons was Childbed, which had like literally a full dozen weapons, like literally.
Childbed
like,
is.
I don't care. That place sucked.
See, the thing is, I think I disliked Garden more.
Garden was a little annoying, only because like there wasn't a really clear pathway through. Like
that and the enemies there were just awful.
I didn't find them like necessarily awful. The only part was that there weren't very many that you could very easily like absorb from.
Like, yeah.
And so you were just constantly out of breath. And so
out of breath.
if you took damage, you couldn't
heal.
You couldn't heal. And so it just choked you out eventually. Get it? It's a breath joke. Anyway, yeah, no, I didn't really care about it too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So the other thing I wanted to ask, do you remember what level your character was when you ended? And do you remember how long it took you to beat the game? What was your file at when you saved it for the last time?
I think my file was at 11 hours. I mean,
mine is at 11 hours, 24 minutes, and I ended at level 53. Which
53.
Yeah. Which
I guess you would get it's a level per
skill up, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it tells you.
I think I had like 11 or 12 in health, 10 in force, a few in strength, and then like 20 something in dex.
Yeah, my stats were much more focused, I guess. I had like
I have right here. It says level 55, 11 hours, 36 minutes.
Nice. We were basically at the same track. I think I had like 8 in health, 5 in dexterity, and then the rest were like strength, and I think I had like 12 or 13 in force. So I had like 30 in strength or some ridiculous number, because I'm just like, me grog, me hit with big stick, die.
Well, for me, it was at the beginning when I was using the bow swords.
Oh yeah, they scaled with both.
I kind of did both.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what would have been better.
Well, and there were plenty of weapons that scaled with both, but the thing was there were I couldn't find any weapons that scaled with like in strength and dexterity. There were some that were like BB or BC, and there were none in S. So it was like the pillar slab, which is the one that I used the whole game basically since I found it and could equip it. Scaled A in strength, and that I just used that till the end of the game. So the bow daggers were a B in dex. Oh,
but
really?
Yeah, my stats were health 14, force 10, strength 7, because as I said, I put points into that and then dumped the rest of them into dex. Dex is 23, resonance is still at 1.
Yeah, pretty much. That sounds right.
Actually, 1 is. I think I did put 1 into thing. I never bothered to like respec.
Yeah, I never.
Even though I got like plenty of pearls to do so.
There was a moment where I was like, do I want to respec and like take everything out of dexterity, take everything out of strength, and like
pretty much
balance myself with strength, force, and health? And I was like, nah, I'll kill him.
Just leave it. Just play better.
Well, it literally, like, okay, I don't know about you, but my health was so low on the final fight, the end boss, that I died in literally like 2 to 3 hits. Sometimes it would be 2, sometimes it would be 3.
Yeah, I think I had similar.
So, like, didn't have a lot of, saving graces. I died really fast. So I just had to be like perfect with my dodging or close to it. But I wanted to ask you before we wrapped up, what your favorite boss was. Like, which great prey is what they were called.
Great prey.
Like the bosses that gave you powers.
Yeah.
Which one was your favorite?
I don't know.
All right, well, I'll tell you mine, and then you can think about it, and then you can tell me yours. Mine was the final performance. Called the final performance because It was quite literally a performance. You were set on a
really
stage
was.
in front of a bunch of people.
And like
it was a conductor that was bringing out other like dancers and actors, and you know, he was dancing, and it felt like a dance out of everything in the game.
Yeah, it did.
Like the movements were choreographed.
I realized that halfway through, and I'm like, I should probably be following this.
Yeah, like,
and I won't get my butt kicked.
Like, it literally was like, if you did everything the boss told you to do, you won. Because he wanted you to win.
Yeah.
You know, the enemy wanted you to be impressed by him and his performance. And I thought that was so, like, that narratively and mechanically, it just hit so perfectly for me. I don't know, like, there was no part of the fight where I looked at it and went like, oh, that's how you do it, after I died a few times. It was, he told you what to do before it happened. And if you paid attention to him, you could do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you usually only died because you weren't paying attention to him, or you flubbed,
or you just
something,
flubbed one of your
inputs or whatever.
Probably one of the like middle mouse.
Yeah, well, I was playing on a controller, but yes.
Yeah, the pulls.
Yeah, one of the pulls. Yeah, and so it was such an amazing. And then whenever you won, it was after you like did a ton of back and forths with him and reposting and knocking him down and stuff like that. And then he's just like, all right, you won. Here's your reward. And then that was it. You know?
Yeah, consumed everything.
And that was, I think, like, genuinely, like it was that fight, and possibly even just the first fight.
Oh, the amalgam?
Yeah, the amalgam, where it was just
so long ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but it was still like, you, like, here's how you play the game, and now here's a fight immediately. Good luck.
That's how they did it in Dark Souls. I think the first Dark Souls, where it's like they just.
Oh yeah,
you pick up the controller, you walk out of the thing,
you walk through a corridor, you walk through
giant demon. Oh, kill it.
Well, you like fall. Okay. You fall from a height, and they're like, oh, by the way, if you press a button, you'll deal most of his health and damage. And if you miss that input, you have to do the whole fight. It's like, oh, okay.
Just get wrecked, I guess.
But yeah, and like the amalgam wasn't necessarily difficult, but like everything, like 95% of his attacks could be absorbed. So they were like, just absorb, idiot. You know, like, just press the absorb button and you'll be fine.
There was a few that were red whenever he like slams down.
Yeah, but not like they were like
not
the
all,
least threatening
there was
ones.
A lot of them.
But it was definitely like, in game making, there are a lot of moments that are like, you should force the player to learn by doing. You learn this mechanic by playing the game. And this was an extremely good example of learn this mechanic by winning this boss fight. Right? And like, it's just a masterclass on how to do that, I think. So yeah, what about you?
I would have to say either the vulture or the shapely Fidus.
Really? You liked the shapely Fidus fight?
I mean,
maybe this is just me.
Not like super well. Maybe it's not my favorite. Maybe it'd be my second. But I mean, I had a lot of trouble with it for sure.
Yeah.
But like, it didn't really have a second phase.
I mean, it did though.
It did, but like,
I was going to mention that specifically as why I didn't like the fight.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, I think the vulture would be my first favorite. But
like, obviously, you can like what you like. If you like the shapely Fidus, by all means.
Because I got to the second phase like once, and I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And like it was just coming after me, and I couldn't do anything, and I just died.
Mhm.
And then the second time I got there, I again tried to fight and died, and then I realized it's like, wait a minute, it's got a flashing thing on its health bar, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, is this just like, do I just wait it out?
Pretty much. Yeah, it took me the first time I got there.
And I did, and then it just died. And I'm
The
like,
f-
oh, okay.
The first
Well,
time I got there, I died to the first hit. The boss does like an explosion where it like bursts from itself, and that does
yeah.
damage, and then it jumps. And
Mhm.
I died to one of the little bulbs on the ground exploding or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
those were really, really annoying.
And so I was in the fight for a grand total of like, I don't know, like 3 seconds the first time. But I
Because
noticed,
it throws them right on top of you, like,
yeah. Well, and I noticed it pretty much immediately that it was like, oh, this is a timed section. Just live. You know,
yeah.
you don't have time to heal, but don't die. And
Just
so,
dodge.
and so, like, I got to that portion with the expectation of like as long as I get here, I'll be fine because I know what to expect this time. I just need to dodge everything. Don't worry about attacking, which is not difficult for somebody with huge, big, lugging weapons to worry about because I'm not going to hit anything that fast anyway.
Yeah, I still had a lot of problems with the shapely Fidus.
Yeah.
Because, but I would say my favorite is the Vulture.
Yeah, the Vulture was
Because
definitely
that
not
one
bad.
was like actually so good.
I think it
The
was
way you like, um, it had a few attacks that were like, I think it swung at you with its wings,
Mhm.
and then you just absorb those. And the
Well,
timing on those was so satisfying
I think it
because
was
it like attacked you from the foreground or background, sort of. It, like,
yes.
kind of swiped.
Yeah.
So it was really satisfying to hit the
So I
timing
think what
for
it
those.
was actually was it was a very obvious attack initially, and then you
Yeah.
blocked it and it bounced, and then
And then
swung
it
at you
like
from the foreground.
swung at you again.
Yeah, and if you hit
and you
that,
hit that,
it was like, ugh,
and then it
I'm
like
dying.
I think that it had a third attack where it like tries to like knee you, hit you with its knee.
That was
and you
only
parry
in the
too.
second phase.
Oh, was that Vulture
Yeah.
too?
No.
Okay.
That was in its second phase after you break its beak.
Oh, okay.
It only did that
Yeah.
third attack as like a surprise in the second phase.
Yeah, but then like there was a few times where it's like you can just pull this Vulture.
Yeah.
Pull him and stun him.
Pretty much. But yeah.
And you do damage. I can tell you what my least favorite boss was.
I know, it's the flower.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that was a boss. I fought it twice.
I didn't realize that was a great prey either. Even though I did get sprint from it, I was just kind of like, this is really fucking annoying.
Yeah. I think my least favorite honestly was Mom's.
Yeah, you had a lot of trouble with Mom's.
I did not
that.
I did not enjoy. Well, it's just cuz a lot of the attacks were random. They did not go in a set pattern.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But when it's on both sides, sometimes the way that they had those moves is there were sometimes where it took up a good 70% of the arena, right?
Yeah.
And if they both use that twice together,
it's undodgeable, basically.
It's literally undodgeable. There's nothing you can do, and that felt really bad. Not that I need to like no hit every fight, but yeah.
But you need players need to have some sort of like ability to no hit, or like some sense of feeling that they can do it.
Yeah. Well,
whereas instead of having a like, oh, okay, I just gotta tank this.
Yeah. The thing for me was like, it doesn't need to be like no hit. It needs to be.
No, it needs to be.
It needs to feel fair.
Yeah, it needs to be possible to dodge.
Yeah. So, all right.
In some way.
Well, I think that about covers everything. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we check out here?
I would say no. I mean, I want to mention the end boss. End boss was fairly enjoyable.
Oh yeah. Once you figure out how
Once
his
you
moves
figure
work,
out his patterns, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So would you recommend this game to anyone who has I don't know how much it costs, $10, $15, $20 to
something
to spend on it?
I don't know what the price is, but we got it for free via Epic Games.
Yeah, we got it for free via Epic Games. Like, this is not
a shameless, not a plug.
Yeah, this is not anything surprising.
We're not sponsored.
Yeah, not unfortunately. So
I would recommend it. If you like Metroidvania games,
$24.99 on
but
the Epic
if it's your
Games
first
store.
Metroidvania game, probably play something else first.
Like Metroid.
Like Metroid or Castlevania. Maybe not Castlevania. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Metroidvania is...
I've never played a Castlevania. That's unfortunate.
I did. I played a DS version, 3DS version. It was quite good.
But yeah, probably not as your first, because
GRIME
it doesn't really, as I think we mentioned already, doesn't really like tell you how to do things.
Yeah, it has the same storytelling aspect as Hollow Knight, where it just kind of shoves you in and says good luck.
Yeah, it does tell you how to do your abilities and stuff, but that's just you got to do that.
Yeah. So this game, GRIME, is on Steam for $25.
Okay.
It does have a free demo on Steam as well. So if you are interested in something like this, feel free to go pick up that free demo. And if you like the game, by all means, buy it or buy it on sale. Would you recommend? I would absolutely recommend this game for anyone who likes Soulsborne games, for anyone who likes side scrollers. It's immensely satisfying. It takes about 12 hours to beat from top to bottom.
The art style is great.
Yep, the art style is great. 12 hours to beat if you are maybe not rushing it through, but if you are beating it at a decent pace, a couple of hours per day, it'll take you about 12 hours, 11 and a half. It'll take quite a bit longer if you want to get everything else. There are DLC bosses that we didn't touch. There are, I think, 2 whole DLCs that you can go into. There's a boss rush mode at the end after you beat it. There's plenty of things to do in this game. There is
actually the reality shift is what you get to, is like a
new game plus.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a replayability thing, if you so choose.
Yep. And so if you buy this game, you will get your money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
I would 100% suggest...
I would say 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Well, maybe not 10 out of 10. Maybe 8 out of 10. Buy this game, play this game. It's a great time.
Can't commit to the 10 out of 10. I would say 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. I would suggest it. Play this game if you like side-scrollers.
Yeah.
And that about covers it.
Yep.
All right.
I think so.
Thank you for chatting with me so late at night.
Yeah.
Until next time, our next game that we are going to play is called Mages of Mistralia, also on Epic, and I don't know if it's on Steam.
It might be.
But that's where we're finding it. Yep, it is on Steam. That's going to be the next game.
I think a lot of the games
so
are
look
be
forward.
On both.
Yeah, most likely. That's usually how it works. But anyway, look forward to that, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.